There had been rumors about President Russell Marion's fitness, but now we recognize the truth. At 100, he has been in and out of the sanatorium. His medical doctors aren't providing a whole lot about the situation. It's clear that he is slowly winding down. President Nelson lived an absolutely first-rate life. He constructed a success profession and family whilst leading a church with over 17 million members. By the way, but the massive query remains, will his 100th birthday be his last? Let's dive into the info and notice his ultra-modern health replace. Russell Marion Nelson's exciting lifestyles commenced on September 9, 1924, in Salt Lake City, Utah. He changed into born to Floss Edna and Marion Cleavar Nelson, and has sisters and a brother. Nelson's father turned into a journalist for the Deseret News, and later had become fashionable supervisor at Gillum Advertising. Although his parents were not working towards contributors of the Latter-day Saint faith, they dispatched him and his siblings to Sunday school. He changed into baptized at the church, and officially had become a member at age 16. As a boy, his hobbies numerous. He helped his father in his advertising and marketing business enterprise. He additionally labored part-time in a photograph studio, a financial institution, and a post-workplace. Russell Nelson became also a member of his school's debating team. He performed the piano and soccer. C. Decoration from Teachers of the Year in the category of Greatest Improvement. He once joked about proximately guarding his fingers and retaining them safe for his future profession as a coronary heart medical professional. Turns out it wasn't a joke because he ended up slicing human beings open for a dwelling. Russell Nelson had a brilliant making a song voice and achieved in church frequently. His destiny wife, Dancel White, also had a beautiful making a song voice. This became the spark that added them collectively. He knew he had found Mrs. Right the instant he heard her sing. Nelson married her 3 years afterward, August 31, 1945. Dancel finished her bachelor's diploma and changed into a trainer until their first toddler got here alongside. She sacrificed plenty to peer her own family succeed. Dancel and Nelson agreed to have their 6 daughters first, earlier than they started out practicing. Their marriage became blessed with 10 youngsters, with whom they gave the nice lifestyles they might come up with the money for. Unfortunately, Dancel died peacefully in 2005 in Salt Lake City. Her husband, Russell Nelson, changed into it at her aspect. Nelson turned into a studious teenager and person. He studied at LDS Business College in his mid-young adults and labored as an assistant secretary at the bank. After graduating from excessive school, he turned into admitted to the University of Utah, in which he had become a member of the Beta Epsilon bankruptcy of Sigma Chi and Allen Chi. He graduated in 1945 with a Bachelor of Arts and Phi Beta Kappa Club. As if that became not enough, he proceeded to the University of Utah School of Medicine to look at medication. Nelson graduated with a Doctor of Medicine and ranked first in elegance. He became handiest 22. After scientific school, he attended the University of Minnesota for his medical residency. While in the university, he developed the heart-lung system that supported the primary human open coronary heart surgical procedure. Russell Nelson holds a PhD from Minnesota for his research contributions. Russell Nelson became a renowned coronary heart health practitioner lengthy before he turned into appointed a prophet, seer, and revelator in the religion. Back inside the 1920s, it changed into impossible to paintings at the human coronary heart. While Russell Nelson became in scientific faculty on the University of Utah, nothing had changed. But then, he turned into uncomfortable with the fame quo. He was taught never to touch the thrashing coronary heart, due to the fact in case you touched it, it might stop beating. This became absurd. What if the human coronary heart could be revived? What if he and his crew invented something to provide sufferers a second threat? His curiosity led him to accumulate a group of like minds. His hobby in the human coronary heart made him test with the primary heart-lung bypass device at some stage in his residency and PhD on the University of Minnesota. By 1948, he helped build the primary system to sustain a dog's lifestyles for half-hour. This changed into a recreation changer. Thinking about it, changed into impossible at the time. When the gadget changed into equipped to be tested on human patients, it could not be moved due to its length. However, Nelson and his crew did no longer give up. They returned to the drafting board. They started out work on another coronary heart-lung bypass machine. This time, it was small, sufficient to paintings in an operating room. And guess what? His overdue spouse Dancel helped him broaden this system. Nelson turned into no longer best a doctor, he became additionally a professional bioengineer. This new tool was used on an individual in March 1951. The case changed into so complicated that the affected person did not live on the surgical treatment, and instead, as a use of the hands of the murderer, his experimenter becomes more complex and more deadly, and the subject includes descriptions of deadly food, bodily remains, lived. However, this system brought Nelson and his crew towards finding answers. It changed into a new bankruptcy for the group of passionate docs. Nelson returned to the University of Utah in 1955 as an assistant professor of surgical operation and director of the Thoracic Surgical Treatment Residency Program. There, he evolved an up-to-date model of the heart-lung skip device. This gadget became used for the first open coronary heart operation in Utah on November 9, 1955. The affected person, Vernell Worthen, had an atrial septal disorder and lived for decades after the surgery. This is to mention that Russell Nelson observed age-lengthy solutions to coronary heart issues. He sooner or later knew what he wanted and how it should work. The hospital later shrunk an expert gadget organization to create the device. In March 1956, Nelson finished his first, a success pediatric cardiac operation. He did a complete repair of the tetralogy of phthalate in a 4-year vintage woman. He led distinctive surgeries that specialize in coronary artery disease and performed a large position in advancing valvular surgical treatment. One of the high points came in 1960, while he achieved the primary ever repair of tricuspid valve regurgitation on a Latter-day Saint stake patriarch. His rare success on a Latter-day Saint stake patriarch. This ailment causes blood to go with the flow backward into the heart's top chamber. Dr. Nelson was the first to restoration this. In 1968, he did a chain of aortic valve replacements. Later, he accomplished this surgery on Spencer W. Kimball. Kimball might later come to be LDS Church president. President Nelson hit every other milestone in 1985, whilst he finished a quadruple pass surgical treatment on the Chinese opera performer Fang Rongxiong. He flew all the manner to Jinan in China for this surgical procedure. It was the ultimate operation he did. To date, the Fang circle of relatives remains thankful to him and nicknamed him Antique Friend of China. President Nelson received the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2018 for his profession as a pioneering heart surgeon and cardiac medical researcher. Note: he and 3 others received Utah's 2018 Governor's Medals for Science and Technology. He has additionally acquired numerous awards, like the Distinguished Alumni Award from the University of Utah, a citation for international service from the American Heart Association, the Heart of Gold Award from the American Heart Association, and the Golden Plate Award, presented by the American Academy of Achievement. So, to the talk about achievement.